Video games are like cocaine. They are exciting, they increase your energy, and once you start playing, you always think about playing more and more. You're pulled towards the screen, and you are craving another hour of gaming like a cocaine addict crave another dose. And when you're not playing, you are thinking about the next session, and having session of 3, 4, 5, even 6 or 10 hours is not a problem for you, but focusing on whatever other task feels difficult and almost impossible. Why is that? What makes games so fun, engaging, and addictive while normal mundane stuff feels so boring and difficult? I remember when I was 16 and I bought the last God of War game, and it was so fucking good. And at the time, I remember that I was doing this project with the school where I had to basically work in a farm for free for kind of a month, I remember. It was this program that aimed to teach young students what is like to work job, so that you should have a positive learning experience and learn something about life. In reality, it was just unpaid labor, but that's another story. And I remember working that farm for 8 hours. I started at 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It was June, so it was very hot. It was very hard physical job. And when I finished, I was really tired. I go back home, ride my bike till I can go back home, had a shower, and then I played from 5 p.m., something like that, until midnight. Okay, 5 p.m. till midnight was like 7 hours of straight gaming. If you think about it, it's like I've done a work shift. After working 8 hours, I've made a work shift of just gaming. It's crazy if you really think about it. After working my ass off, I come back home, and the first thing that I do is staring at the screen for 7 hours while pushing some buttons into a joystick. And just think about it. If I would be able to come back home and instead of playing video games for 7 hours, I would start to working to building a skill or creating a meaningful project for me, think what I could do with that. But we cannot change the past. And what I'm thinking right now is, wouldn't it be awesome to have the same drive, motivation, and fun of doing things that are really productive for you and made them as good as you play video games? And let's think about it. What's special about video games? Why are they so addictive? And what I found out is that video games are not special per se. They are structured in a way that lead you to enter into a flow state. The flow state is defined as the optimal human experience and is achieved through a deep focus into a specific task. For example, have you ever been to a party or hanged out with your friends and been so present and had so fun in the present moment that you lost track of time? That also happened while playing sports, playing instruments, while drawing, writing, reading, basically any active activity when you have to focus and really engage into what you're doing, you have the ability to experience a flow state. So you are really absorbed into your activity, you lose track of time, and you almost ignore every external stimulus, like people that are calling you and you cannot hear them because you're very into what you're doing, or people knock into your dorm room. This is a universal experience. Everyone in their life, at least as a children, experienced flow state. And this is what it's like. And it's common in especially top performers like athletes during sport practice, with musicians while playing instruments, for surgeons when they are operating on the table, but also in normal people, also in people that in their day-to-day jobs they experience flow. The mechanical that is changing the wheels from your car, or the 9 to 5 worker that is typing shit into Excel, okay? This is something that you can experience in your day-to-day life. And during flow state is we have our best performances in whatever we are doing, and we are the happiest. okay? And paradoxically, one thing that is very paradoxical and some researchers have found is that flow is experienced more during working hours than in free time. It's crazy if you think about it, because everyone is against work. Everyone is against having a job. They just want more free time. But actually, research says that your best optimal experiences, you have them at work instead of having them in your free time. And I will explain why in a minute. And paradoxically, during your work, you're in a brain state that is more similar to what you're playing video games. It's not that different if you really think about it. I will explain why in a second. And what I want to communicate to you, and if there is something that you can extract from this video, and I want you to really, really understand, is that into your console, into your controller, or your PC gamer, your PC ultra built for gaming, there is no intrinsic pleasure in there. There isn't some magical aspect in these devices that will bring you joy. Is your reaction to it, is the state that this thing will put you into. Okay, this is what is magical about this stuff. Magical, also diabolical, if you want to, if you want to see the dualism. But what I want you to understand is that is your brain that is causing you to have this feeling, is your brain that is causing you to have this kind of reaction to the games, okay? And you can have the same reaction to different things, because it's not the game itself that is giving you that. It's your brain reacting to it. And you have the same brain state reacting to a work project, a paper, scientific paper from academia, okay? In whatever, okay? And the fact is that games will lead you into this state because they are designed specifically to trigger that into you. Because there are some conditions that, if respected, will activate the flow state. And now I will explain them one by one. The first condition is the skill challenge balance. In video games, you start like a scrub at level 1 and you have to face stupid enemies like crabs or shitty undead with dementia, okay? Think about Dark Souls in the beginning. You start, you have this broken sword and you are hitting rachitic people who cannot really defend themselves. But the more skilled you and your character become, the greater the challenges that you start to face. Challenges that are not so big that you feel overwhelmed, but also not so low that you feel bored. You're precisely in the middle, and there lies the flow. And the reason why you experience more flow during work than free time is because most people don't challenge themselves during their free time, but they are doom scrolling, watching TV, or doing a lot of useless bullshit that are not really let them focus on the present moment. They are not trying to push their limits over what is already known. The second trigger of flow is total focus and absorption into the task. Focus and flow goes hand to hand. Actually, these flow triggers are just a series of conditions that make you focus on the present moment. So without the first focus, you cannot have the latter flow state. Multitasking and shadow focus is the killer of flow state. During video games, you're attracted to the screen because it has a lot of stimulus that comes with it and allows your attention to go into the screen and what is going on there. So that you're not really able to multitask when you're playing video games, okay? Because your attention is fully absorbed into what is going on the screen. And I remember when I was really focused into what I was doing, and or when I was playing video games, that people called me, asked me question, even most basic question in the world, I wasn't able to answer them because I was too much present into what I was doing. The third flow, the third flow trigger is clear goals. You always have clear tasks at hand, like kill this enemy, get this item, talk to this character, do this thing. There is no doubt about what you need to do. There's always a clear mission to strive towards, and that eliminates every hesitation and allows you to deeply focus to only your action. The fourth trigger of flow that you find in video games is immediate feedback. If you're doing the right things or reach your goals, you are rewarded with prizes, new objects, or experience points. If you get hit by an enemy, you lose health. It's always very clear if you're doing the right thing or you're not doing the right thing, so that you can adjust your action in real time. The fifth trigger of flow is sense of agency and control. In video games, you feel like your action have a precise effect to the world that you're into, and you feel like you have an impact. Your action matters. That's what also keeps you engaged into your day-to-day, into your video game. Okay. The sixth flow trigger, there are kind of like 24 flow triggers, but I will not go down every one of them. I'm simply telling you the ones that matter the most for the context of video games. The sixth is high consequences. If you're not focused, if you play bad, you lose, which is frustrating and leads to negative emotion. Imagine you're playing Dark Souls, you are going to the boss, you maybe have done 15 minutes of running to this fucking boss, then you die and you get angry because you have to restart again and go back from this boss. It's really tiring and frustrating. And that leads you to focus into playing well, so you don't have to experience these negative bad emotions. So these six are the flow triggers that we find in video games and that increase the pleasure that you extract from these experiences. And you can apply these concepts, these flow triggers, to other things in your life in order to increase the happiness and overall joy of your day-to-day existence. Let's look at every trigger and see how you can apply that in your day-to-day existence. First of all, clear goals. You have to learn how to set clear goals with the SMART framework. So you have to set goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, that are relevant to what you really want, and that are time contingent. I have made a video about how to set goals and how to set goals in your 2025 year. So go check a look at that video. And you have to use to-do list and be clear, be autistically clear about what you have to do, instead of saying I will study math. That's not a goal, that's not a to-do task. Say I will study chapter 3 from book X tomorrow, or I will do 10 exercises at page 50. Okay, these are more precise goals. You don't have to wonder what you have to do. You simply read on things on a to-do list and you apply. There is no doubt, there is no hesitation. There just focus on what you have to perform. So be as precise as possible when you're setting clear goals. It's not that important that you set. It's important that you set goals, but it's more important that they are clear as fuck. The second is skill challenge balance. To adjust this trigger, ask yourself, what are you feeling during approaching the task? Do you feel bored or do you feel overwhelmed by it? Because if you feel bored, it means that you have to increase the challenge. Ask yourself, how can you make it more difficult? Either do more of the same task, increase the complexity, or aim to do the same task that you do every day, but in less time. If you feel overwhelmed, it means that you have to decrease the challenge or chunk the challenge down so that it becomes more manageable. And once you start become better and better on it, this thing starts to become boring. So you have to increase the challenge, okay? It's kind of difficult in the beginning, but it's really intuitive while you have to do it. The third thing, actually it should be the first, but I'm not that good at scripting, I have to improve it. Focus and absorption. You have to avoid multitasking like the plague and focusing only on one thing at a time. Keep your phone away and ask kindly to other people in the house not to disturb you, because 15 minutes of focused work are worth more than 1 hour of multitasking when you don't really achieve anything. So you have to focus deeply, and focusing deeply in the beginning might be difficult, but imagine it like a muscle that becomes stronger and stronger the more you train it. In the beginning, it would be hard, you have headaches, it would be complex and inefficient, and it's normal. It's normal. It's like when you start playing a video game, you don't even know what are the right buttons for the right action. So you have to kind of do it the first day, then the second day, and you become slightly better and better over time. So if in the beginning you feel like kind of retard because you're not able to stare at your screen and doing your work, or you are not able to stay focused on one task at a hand, that's perfectly normal. You have to keep going, and your focus will strengthen like the muscles that you train at the gym. The fourth is immediate feedback. This is really dependent about what you're doing, because if you are playing sport, it's much more easier to have a feedback whether you're doing good or not. If you're winning and you're, for example, winning, you see the score on the screen, you see that you're winning or you're losing, you're doing things good or you're doing things bad. Also, during sports, you have a coach that told you, hey man, this thing is good, or hey man, this thing sucks. So you have an immediate you can see clearly if you're doing things right or wrong and adjust immediately. However, if you set precise goals, your feedback will be, okay, I reached those goals or I didn't. So it, this would be your feedback, for example. The fifth is high consequences. This is also dependent by context. A lot of extreme athletes experience flow while surfing to huge waves or rock climbing without any rope. And the little error could cost them a limb or their life. So they gotta be very focused because the consequences are the highest that could ever be. And the point is, you don't need to be that extreme. You could set deadlines and imagine how much disappointment you would feel if you fail to reach those deadlines. That's enough to trigger the flow. And high consequences are highly subjective. You can also have an accountability partner, and the thought of disappointing your accountability partner would be enough to trigger the flow state. And yeah, that's it. High consequences are really very subjective. You don't need to gamble the keys of your car, or set out your house on fire in order to experience the flow. The sixth is sense of agency. Agency is not about what you're really doing, is a matter of perception. If you set good goals in the beginning and set the right challenge, you will naturally feel a sense of agency that will bring you into flow. That's why setting clear goals, I believe, is the setting clear goals and being able to focus are the main thing to trigger the flow state and living a meaningful life. So, we explored the flow triggers, how they are used in video games to make them addictive, and a brief explanation of how you can use them to live a life full of satisfaction, of meaning. If you watched till here, I'm really grateful. Thank you very much, and I hope that this was useful. Okay, make good use of this information if you want to learn more about flow and focus and living a life full of meaning and extracting all the potential that you have into yourself. Please follow this channel because that's what I talk about. And if you want to read some books, there is Flow from Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, which is the father or the one who discovered the flow state, and The Art of Impossible, which is another book that talks about flow, more specifically to high performance. So I will leave them into the description so that you can buy them if you're interested into this kind of topic. Thank you for watching again. Remember to aim upward and keep searching for strength.